I'm here this evening to talk about the electronic resources, the use of e-resources. Yes, the topic is basically going to be on electronic databases and how to search information and the techniques that one can use to retrieve information. Yes, so before we start, I would like to define what a database is, because that is the fundamental aspect of the whole seminar. Yeah, so a database consists of organized piece of information. These pieces of information are placed into records. So normally when we take a hospital as an example, when you visit a hospital as a patient, the officer in charge of the record center will have to give you a folder, create a folder that contains your information, your name, where you come from, your telephone number, and what have you. And this piece of information is organized in such a way that anytime you visit the hospital, it should be easier for whoever is in charge of the record center to retrieve the information. So these pieces of information are organized in such a way that it will be easier for whoever is in the record center to be able to retrieve the information. Now, the electronic database contains magazines and periodical articles, as well as other types of information. For example, a file cabinet could be considered a very basic form of a non-digital database. A non-digital database, that is the underlining word. The cabinet contains files, as I mentioned earlier. With regards to hospital, the record center will have files of all patients, and then these files are filed according to, depending on the system the hospital is using, either the surname of the patient or a code that can be easier for the record officer to be able to retrieve the information of whoever visits the hospital. Now, with an electronic database, a computer program assists the user in locating requested pieces of information. Now, in these days, when you visit most of the hospitals that have now trying to integrate electronic into their system, you realize that when you go there, they use the computer to enter your name and all your basic information. So this information is organized on this piece of computer, and this makes it easier for whoever needs information to locate a particular patient is able to do. So you come to the hospital the next time, you mention your name or probably your card number, you can easily enter, and then all the history of your thing pops up. So there may be different types of electronic database in the world today. We have full text databases, we have bibliographic databases, statistical, image, and others. Now, why do we need electronic databases? What are the usefulness of e-databases? You see, using electronic database is a very valuable way to conduct research. You know, when you are going to undertake a research and you are going to use e-databases, you will be able to get a lot of information with regards to even inputting just a keyword or a phrase. Before the advent of electronic databases, research was even more time-consuming and tedious. In the past, we used to have a compact indexes or printed list of resources, that is biblical listing, will have been used to find an article. You see, before you can even find an article, you need the name of the author, the title of the journal, the year of publication, the publisher, to be able to find an article. Once an appropriate article citation was found, a print copy of the journal would need to be located, because we were not in the electronic system. We are using, in the past, we used to go the manual system. So when the journal was found, you will have to photocopy the article or make notes about the contents. You see, assuming I need information from University of California Library, in the past, I send them a telegram telling them that I need a particular title. They will look through their database or their resources, locate the particular material, photocopy it or print it, Now they have to package it and then post it to whoever is looking for that information. So you see how time consuming the situation was in the past. Now today, with the proper use of e-databases, full text articles appear almost instantaneously on your computer screen. With the advent of the internet, you may not even need to leave your home to conduct research. With the coronavirus pandemic, people are now sitting in their various homes undertaking their various research because they are able to have access to their research center databases or their university library databases. With the use of the e-proxy, you should be able to access as many journals titles as possible in your university library database. Now, there are some features that are almost always found in electronic database. Some of these features include a screen search, a keyword search, subject searching capability, a help section, a publication section. Now, the search screen is extremely important. This screen allows you to enter information and search the databases. You see, the screen search, that is where you input in your keyword or your search string to be able to access whatever information you need from the databases. If you have no way of searching the databases, you will have to browse through the thousands, if not millions, of articles. There's always a basic or simple way to search an e-databases. Usually, a word or phrase is entered in a search box in order to search for appropriate article from the databases. Now, keyword searching is an option on most databases. Now, let's see, what is a keyword? A keyword is a principal word, a word that may be found in the title, abstract, or the text of an article. The keyword may or may not be the subject of the article. Now, the keyword search is often the default feature of a database. This means that the keyword search screen will be the first screen that appears when you enter the databases. Now, the another trait of electronic database is a subject searching. The subject searching is an advanced and very helpful feature of a database. A subject search will always yield more precise and on-target results than a keyword search. Now let's look at what is a subject. A subject is the reason or main focus of an article. In contrast, a keyword search will look for words that are located within the article. These words may not be the main focus of the article. You see, so when you use the subject, the type of information that you'll be able to access will be precise because the subject focus is the area that the database will be able to serve and get the information for you. There's also a subject listing in most databases. This is an alphabetical listing of subjects used to categorize the articles. Another important trait of e-databases is the help section. We all need a little help at times. People who design e-databases realize this. That is why all electronic databases have a help section. You may feel awkward using the help section, especially if you are the type of person who, when on a road trip, refuses to admit they are lost and need directions. However, if you do not ask for help when you need it, you may muddle through obtaining too few, too many, or useless resources. This can be very frustrating. Please don't be afraid to consult the help screen when necessary. The help screen contains very useful information because some databases are quite complicated. You know, when you are going to use EBSCO is quite a bit complicated if you are using it for the first time. So the help section will be able to give you a step-by-step procedure with regards to how the database is organized and how you can be able to surf through to be able to get the needed information you need. Yeah, so all databases have unique traits that may be different from databases to database. This may include subject coverage, the appearance of the database screen, the advanced database features, and what have you. All databases have a particular focus or subject coverage. Some may focus heavily on business issues, some on health issues, some cover general reference information. These databases contain publication heavily geared toward those subject areas. All databases, yeah, I've mentioned this already. That is why it is very helpful to know the coverage of a database. Because if you know the coverage of a database, you just go straight to that particular database and start looking for information in that database. But if you want to do a blind searching, that is where you get millions of information that might not be useful for your research area. So it is better to look for a database that has something to do with the area that you are researching on. You see, assuming you are looking for information on electronic and electrical engineering information, you might be interested to go into IEEE, which is the main focus of electronic and electrical. Even though other databases might give you some information, but this particular database is geared towards your subject coverage area, which is electrical and electronic. So if you are able to identify the subject coverage of a particular database, I don't think you'll be wandering around unnecessarily to look for data that may not be of interest to your research. Yeah. So for example, a business source Premier is a business-related database. However, it may be difficult to know what the main focus of the master file Premier database is, which is a general reference database. As mentioned earlier, UMath Library subscribes to a number of electronic databases, over 30 of them. Access to these databases are available to you as student of the university. These databases contain full text bibliographic information from a variety of sources on a variety of topics, and they also contain free electronic databases that the library is able to get access from. Now, some of the databases are full text databases that provide complete articles, and others are bibliographic databases that contain citations, usually with abstracts. Now, the electronic databases available from UMath are subscription databases. It means the university is a member of a consortium. So the consortium subscribes on behalf of the university. So we pay some fee for using these databases. Yeah. So these databases are not available to the general public, just for the university community. Now, the EE databases differ from resources that you may find on the web. Sources from the web may or may not contain valid information. However, articles and information found on e-databases come from valid and reputable sources. That is what the university subscribes for. The articles found on electronic databases are the same article that can be found in printed versions. The databases that are available from UMath Library include Emerald, EBSCO, Wiley Online Library Database, JSTOR, IEEE, Taylor and Francis, Sage Publications, Sage Research Methods. We have Hinare, very important databases, and then we have Research for Life that contains Hinare, ARDI, Agora, and what have you. All these are under Research for Life. Research for Life is a free databases that are made available to less developed countries up to middle level, depending on your economic base. Yeah, so that is it. Thank you so much for listening to this very basic seminar. As I mentioned, it is just how you can be able to use the resources to be able to find information. But in a subsequent seminar, we will have to now come out to tell you more about some of these databases in detail, so that you'll be able to appreciate how they work up. Now, these are some of the databases that the university subscribes for. EBSCO database. You have the Taylor and Francis. You have Wiley Online Library, JSTOR, Emerald, Cradle Reference, Sage Journals, Sage Research Methods, and others. Thank you very much for listening.